You know Santa Claus, right? Fat guy, red suit, brings presents to good kids. Yeah, well, that's the Disney version. See, what nobody tells you is that Santa has some absolutely terrifying cousins across Europe who don't mess around. We're talking about creatures that drag bad kids to hell, beat them with sticks, or straight up eat them for Christmas dinner. And these aren't just random scary stories. Millions of people still celebrate these dark Christmas demons today. So yeah, if you thought coal in your stocking was bad, wait until you meet Krampus, who literally whips children and drags them to the underworld in a basket. Or Belsnickel, who shows up looking like a homeless wizard and tests whether you deserve to live. The question is, why did our ancestors think Christmas needed to be this scary? And more importantly, which version would you rather meet at your door on Christmas Eve? Before we get into this nightmare fuel, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment with what creepy topic you want us to cover next. Serial killers, cursed objects, or more twisted folklore? Let's go. So here's the thing about Christmas in America. We sanitized it. We took all the scary stuff, threw it in the trash, and gave you Rudolph and Frosty instead. But in the Alpine regions of Europe, Austria, Germany, parts of Switzerland, they kept the original recipe. And that recipe includes a literal demon named Krampus. Krampus is what happens when Christmas gets real. He's got horns like a goat, a tongue that hangs down to his chest, hooves for feet, and he's covered in dark hair or fur. Oh, and he carries chains that he rattles to announce his arrival, plus birch branches that he uses to literally beat children. Not metaphorically, actually beat them. Now you might be thinking, okay, but this is just a story to scare kids into behaving, right? Wrong. Krampus has been part of Alpine culture for centuries, probably even predating Christianity. The name itself comes from the German word Krampen, which means claw. And yeah, he's got those too. Here's how it works. On the night of December 5th, which is called Krampusnacht or Krampus Night, this creature roams the streets looking for badly behaved children. If Santa keeps a naughty list, Krampus has the execution orders. While St. Nicholas rewards good children with gifts, Krampus handles the discipline. And by discipline, I mean he might whip you with those birch branches, stuff you in his wicker basket called a root, and depending on which version of the story you hear, either drag you to his lair in the mountains, drown you, or straight up take you to hell. Yeah, hell, for being a bratty kid. The really wild part? Parents actively participated in this. They'd tell their children that Krampus was watching, that he knew when they misbehaved, and that he'd come for them if they didn't shape up. Some villages even had men dress up as Krampus and go door to door, creating genuine terror in children. And honestly, it worked. When the alternative to eating your vegetables is being dragged to the underworld by a demon goat, you eat your vegetables. But Krampus isn't just some random boogeyman. He represents something deeper in European folklore, the idea that reward and punishment must balance each other out. St. Nicholas couldn't exist alone because pure goodness without consequences doesn't teach lessons. You needed the fear, you needed the threat. And in harsh winter climates where survival depended on obedience and cooperation, that fear served a purpose. The Catholic Church tried to ban Krampus celebrations multiple times throughout history, calling them pagan and inappropriate. But the tradition was too strong. People loved their Christmas demon. In fact, Krampus has experienced a massive revival in the last couple decades, not just in Europe, but worldwide. There are Krampus movies, Krampus festivals, and thousands of people who dress up in incredibly detailed, terrifying Krampus costumes to run through the streets scaring the life out of spectators. If you thought Krampus was bad, wait until you meet his friends. Because apparently Europe decided that one Christmas demon wasn't enough. Let's talk about Belsnickel. This guy comes from German folklore and made his way to Pennsylvania with German immigrants. Belsnickel shows up before Christmas wearing ragged, dirty furs, carrying a switch, and sometimes a bag of candy. But here's the twist. The candy isn't a reward, it's a test. He throws the candy on the floor, and if children grab for it too quickly, showing greed, he beats them with the switch. If they wait patiently, they might get to keep the candy. Might. Belsnickel is basically Santa's grimy, unpredictable uncle who shows up drunk to Christmas dinner. Nobody knows what he'll do. Some versions say he has a black face, others say he's just covered in dirt and soot. Either way, he's not jolly, he's not laughing, And he's definitely not checking his list twice. He's checking it once. And if your name's on it, good luck. Then there's Knecht Ruprecht, which translates to farmhand Rupert or servant Rupert. He's basically Santa's enforcer in German tradition. While St. Nicholas hands out presents, Knecht Ruprecht handles the bad kids. He carries a bag of ashes to throw in the faces of naughty children, and in some versions he'll beat them with his bag or a stick. The really dark versions say he asks children if they can pray. If they can't recite their prayers correctly, he punishes them on the spot. Now let's go to the Netherlands and Belgium, where things get complicated. There's a figure called Zwarte Piet, or Black Pete, who accompanies Sinterklaas, their version of St. Nicholas. The traditional depiction has him in blackface with Renaissance-era clothing, and his job is to scare and punish bad children, sometimes threatening to stuff them in a bag and take them back to Spain. The racial implications here are obvious and incredibly controversial, and there's been a massive ongoing debate about whether to change or eliminate this character from Dutch Christmas celebrations. But wait, there's more. In Austria and Bavaria, meet Frau Perchta. She's a witch-like figure who appears during the 12 days of Christmas. Her thing? She rips open the bellies of lazy or misbehaving people and replaces their internal organs with straw and rocks. Specifically, she hates people who don't eat the traditional Christmas fish and porridge. Don't like herring? Too bad. Frau Perchta's coming with a knife. And then there's Jóla Kutterin, the Yule cat from Iceland. This one's pretty straightforward. It's a giant cat that eats people who didn't receive new clothes before Christmas. The tradition was originally meant to incentivize workers to finish processing wool before winter, but it became a story where if you were lazy or poor and didn't get new clothes, a massive cat would literally eat you during the holidays. Each of these figures served a specific cultural purpose. They weren't just random scary stories. They enforced social norms, religious practices, work ethics, and obedience in communities where survival during winter was genuinely difficult. So why did our ancestors think Christmas needed to be this terrifying? The answer is actually pretty logical when you think about the context. First, winter in pre-modern Europe was deadly serious. We're talking about a time before central heating, grocery stores, or modern medicine. If your family didn't prepare properly for winter, if you didn't harvest enough food, gather enough firewood, or store enough supplies, people died. Children needed to learn obedience quickly, because disobedience could literally kill the whole family. You couldn't just be a bratty kid in medieval Germany. Everyone had to pull their weight, and these scary figures reinforced that message. Second, Christianity was still competing with older pagan traditions in many parts of Europe. Krampus and figures like him probably originated from pre-Christian winter solstice celebrations. When Christianity spread, the church couldn't completely eliminate these deeply rooted traditions, so they adapted them. St. Nicholas became the Christian reward figure, while Krampus remained as the pagan punishment figure. It was a compromise that let both traditions coexist. Third, there's a psychological element. Pure reward doesn't teach boundaries. If children only hear about Santa bringing presents, there's no consequence for bad behavior. The threat of Krampus created a complete moral system. Good behavior equals presents, bad behavior equals a demon goat beating you with sticks. It's harsh, but it's effective. What's fascinating is that these traditions haven't died out. In fact, they're growing. Every year, cities like Munich, Salzburg, and villages across Austria hold Krampuslauf events, where hundreds of people dress in elaborate, handcrafted Krampus costumes and run through the streets in wild parades. These costumes are intense. We're talking about wooden masks carved by artisans, real fur, chains, and performers who fully commit to terrifying spectators. People line the streets to watch, and yes, the Krampuses will chase you, rattle chains at you, and genuinely try to scare you. There are now Krampus festivals in Los Angeles, Philadelphia, and cities across the United States. Horror fans and folklore enthusiasts have embraced these traditions, and honestly, there's something refreshing about Christmas celebrations that acknowledge the darkness alongside the light. It feels more complete, more honest about the human experience. And in an age where everything is sanitized and child-proofed, there's something appealing about traditions that don't apologize for being scary. These figures remind us that folklore wasn't always meant to comfort us. Sometimes it was meant to teach us, challenge us, or even frighten us into being better people. So the next time someone complains about how commercialized and sanitized Christmas has become, just remind them that the original version included demon goats, witches who disembowel you, and giant cats that eat lazy people. Maybe Coca-Cola Santa isn't so bad after all. So there you have it. The Christmas traditions they don't show you in Hallmark movies. While American kids were worried about getting coal in their stockings, European children were genuinely terrified of being dragged to hell by a demon with chains, beaten with branches by a fur-covered weirdo, or having their organs replaced with straw by an angry witch. And honestly, these stories make sense when you understand where they came from. Winter was brutal. Communities needed everyone to cooperate and behave. Parents needed effective tools to teach their children. And what's more effective than the threat of a Christmas monster? What's really interesting is how these traditions survived. Despite centuries of attempts to ban or sanitize them, people kept them alive. They passed down the stories, maintained the festivals, and even expanded them in modern times. That tells you something about human nature. We don't just want the happy stuff. We want the complete story, the balance between light and dark, reward and consequence. The next time you see a cute Santa decoration at the mall, just remember that he used to have backup. Serious, terrifying backup. And in parts of the world, he still does. What do you think? Would you rather deal with getting coal from Santa or facing Krampus in a dark alley on December 5th? Personally, I'll take the coal. If you found this as disturbing and fascinating as we did, do us a favor. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss when we cover more twisted folklore and dark history. And drop a comment below with what creepy topic you want us to explore next. Cursed objects, unsolved mysteries, more nightmare fuel from different cultures? Let us know. Also, if you've ever experienced any of these traditions firsthand, maybe you've been to a Krampuslauf or your family actually celebrated with Belsnickel, share your story in the comments. We want to hear about it. Thanks for watching, and hey, maybe be good this year, just in case.